Ungovernables, the captain's crew, the LFA family, McGroy Nation. We are coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Happy Wednesday to you. Another knockdown, drag out fight with equipment this morning, but I hope, I said this yesterday, hopefully the color looks a little better today. How's it looking over there?
Dark.
Dark.
On my screen, but maybe that's just my screen. You look a little like dark, but that's okay. That's okay.
What do you mean by I look dark? Does it look like the room is dark, or do I just look dark?
It's just dark.
Okay. We're gonna leave it as is because
Yeah,
I'm not playing with this right now because we're not doing that. All right. Last night was a late night. Last night was a late night because Wisconsin did Wisconsin things. Did you see this race last night? Did you see the race last night between, I don't even know his first name, Crowley, David Crowley, Daniel Crowley? I have no idea. And what's her name? Francesca Hong. Did you see it? That was one of the closest primary races we've had in a long time. It was within half a percentage point for most of the night. I was sitting there. I mean, listen, I'm a little bit of a geek with this type of stuff, right? I'm a little bit of a geek. I get really, I don't know, like into it when I watch these results. Purple Love says, no, I watched you watching. Were you following me on X? Watching it? I'll tell you, I was going back and forth with the great, who's, by the way, he's joining us tomorrow, the great Chase Bowes, to talk about this because we were going nuts. I'd also like to say something regarding this. Chase and I had this race called before anybody else. I'm just saying. We were, if one day someone gets into a scandal and they have to publish our signal chats, you'll see the night of August 11th, August 12th, the night of August 11th, August 12th, you'll see Sean and Chase going back and forth with numbers. I was like, hey, if there's this many left over, we were trying to figure out how many more ballots were left over in Milwaukee, and I said 23,000 wound up being like 28,000. Anyway, I was like, what? We're watching this. I'm going to put it on your screen if I can. Let's see. There it is. Look at that. 313,509 for Crowley, 310,230 for Hong. Under half a percentage point separates them. And this is the craziest part about Wisconsin. Look at all of these candidates on the ballot. Aside from whoever Hughes is, aside from that, all of these, oh my gosh. Look, Roy's, Brennan, you're on the ballot. Look at that.
I am.
Rodriguez, Barnes, all these guys got way more than the margin. Actually, even Hughes almost had the whole margin. Look at that. I mean, this is just one of the closest races ever. It's just wild to watch this last night. And I was fascinated because most polling, which we say all the time on the show, we use, but we rely on as data, and we don't rely on it as, for example, we rely on polling as, from a data standpoint, we don't rely on it as it being a perfect science, right? We don't rely on polling that you're going to see a couple of things. I'm trying to brighten it up a little bit. We don't rely on polling as a perfect science, right? We don't do that. But we do rely on polling as a way to, suggest what is, how am I trying to phrase this? Suggest the sentiment or how people are feeling on their, when it comes to their electoral choices. That might have helped. I think everything's a little brighter now.
It is brighter.
All right. I'm just trying to put something out there that's worth seeing. Okay. And when I get tech problems like this, it's just silly. The polling missed big time. on this Wisconsin gubernatorial race. Big time. They had Hong winning by 20 points. I mean, if she was going to win, it was going to be by, a half a percentage point. There were times last night during this race that she was within 600 votes. What a performance, what a race that was last night, okay? And so it was fascinating to watch. I am obviously, I geek out over things like this, and it was just wild. So we will get to that and what it means among the Democrats, right? They are starting to melt down big time because in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed won. And again, he won by less than what polling suggested. But in Wisconsin, David Crowley won, and he won by even the up to half percentage point, 0.48 percentage points that he won by, he wasn't even supposed to win. So who knows what happened? I see a bunch of leftists on social media saying it was stolen. You can't say that. You're not allowed to say that. Those are your rules. You cannot challenge the results of an election. That makes you an election denier. That makes you a threat to democracy, right? Hey, listen, if I'm you, establishment people out there, if I'm you, I'm staying home in November. They stole Maine from you. They stole Wisconsin from you. They almost stole Michigan from you. The establishment is not going down without a fight, although on the Democrat side of it, the establishment, I would say, has pretty much gone down, not necessarily without a fight, but the socialists definitely drive the direction of that party. So we're going to get into those results. Here's a message to everybody and anybody who's even thinking of pushing amnesty. Don't. Like Kamala and Biden, don't. Remember their foreign policy of don't? What do you say to the illegals? Don't. Don't what? Just don't. Okay, cool, great, wonderful. The establishment, sorry, not the establishment, that's the Democrat talking point. Sorry. The issue of amnesty was on the ballot in Minnesota last night. Amnesty. What happened? Mike Lindell lost, and I am not a Lindell hater. I'm not somebody who, it's not personal. But you know my stance on immigration. You know my stance on the illegal alien invasion. You know, this is, it's not a secret that I despise the concept of amnesty. It's not personal. But the minute, and I know there's a lot of copium. Oh, it wasn't actually amnesty. Yes, it is. It was, trying to give these quote unquote, and he referred to them as undocumented workers on his, campaign platform. And some of it is, he's in a blue state trying to run as a Republican, a very, a notorious Republican. But you know what he was saying on his official campaign platform. It was amnesty. It was, finding a way for undocumented workers to wind up staying in our country and paying taxes and all this. Why not just get rid of them and hire Americans? Isn't that something that we would like to see? Why not just get rid of them and hire Americans? No. Amnesty was on the ballot in Minnesota last night, and amnesty lost. It is called the amnesty effect. If Mike Lindell had not pushed for amnesty, he might have won. He definitely wouldn't have lost by as much as he lost by. And don't even start with the voting machines. If we're going to do this, just stop.
Don't.
If I'm Mike Lindell, I'm not out there screaming and yelling about election abnormalities. You got smoked because you campaigned on amnesty. Okay? I don't hate the guy. I would like to give him as much grace as possible. He has done a lot for the movement. He donated a lot of money. He sacrificed a lot. I'm not saying any of that. And I'm not saying that all of his work and claims about election irregularities are, to be ignored and laughed away. That's not what I'm saying at all. All right. But what I am saying specifically is you don't lose by 11 percentage points or whatever the final tally was. It was 11 or 12. You don't lose by tens of thousands of votes in a primary after you're leading in a lot of polling with Trump's endorsement because of voting machines. You lost because you campaigned on amnesty. You tried to walk it back, but then you didn't try to walk it back. And then you explained it, but you didn't explain it. And it was amnesty was on the ballot. Let everybody understand if you're running as a Republican, no. The answer is no. You may even believe in amnesty. Don't say it. Here's a pro tip. If you're running as a Republican, you may believe in amnesty. You may want it secretly. Don't tell anybody, because if you do, you're going to lose. Okay? So there's that. It's not personal with Lindell. I like the guy. I think he's a good person. That's what sunk him. So when you start to see, all of this stuff popping up and fraud, guys, you know how I feel about these election fraud conversations. I believe that there's fraud in every election, but I don't believe that there's fraud. I don't believe that fraud decides every election. And that is the most important distinction that we can make, so we don't become irresponsible with the election fraud narrative, right? Because remember, if we keep going, every election's rigged, that there's selections, not elections, what you're actually doing is telling people, without saying the words directly, you're telling people that their vote doesn't matter. Like, folks, these are the final results of the Lindell election last night, the primary. Lisa Demuth won by almost 11 percentage points and what looks to be almost 45,000 votes. I have a hard time believing that she winds up winning or winning by that much if Lindell didn't do the whole amnesty song and dance. So we will get to the results of last night. Specifically, we're going to be looking at Wisconsin and what the Democrats are going to do now, because in Michigan, they edged it out against our favorite, America's favorite chipmunk.
That's the Michigan way.
But in Wisconsin, they did not edge it out against this guy, David Crowley, who was in the race and then was not in the race and then was in the race again. It's a very strange thing. It's a very strange thing, what we saw. So anyway, that's what we're going to get to. We have that. We have a bunch of other things, too. More insane comments from Abdul El-Sayed. This guy. Whew. This guy. Don't let him fool you, please. He's not going to fool you. But I'm saying to the moderates out there who may get a hold of this show, it's not going to... Don't let him fool you. This guy believes in Sharia law. There's deleted YouTube videos of him talking about gun bans, comments that he made to the New York Times about Sharia and all that stuff. You don't want that crap here, okay? So we have that. I wanted to get to this story yesterday. Mamdani, a judge blocked his pied-à-terre tax, which is the rich tax in New York City. But it's funny because Frances Gill, that Democratic socialist who got embarrassed on Fox News, and we played you that clip of her yesterday on a local NBC4 affiliate saying, we need to divert money away from police and into things that keep people safe, like streetlights. Streetlight people. Anybody who likes that song should be shot on. I'm just kidding. No, that's a good song. Journey, Don't Stop Believing. The main reason why I don't like that song? One, because it was trendy and I don't like trends. But two, because of The Sopranos. For those of you who watch The Sopranos and the ending, right? Where that song plays, that specifically ruined the song "Don't Stop Believing" for me. But it is actually like a good song. It's catchy, right? But what? So this is Frances Gill talking about streetlights and how they're going to do more to keep a community safe than cops. Okay, but it's funny because she told on herself a little bit. So I want to play this and kind of. We'll play it for you in a little bit. A judge blocked Mamdani's rich tax, which is great. Before we get to all that, guys and gals, we have got to get to a word from our friends at OFP Farms. It is OFPFarms.com, and you're going to use the promo code Sean on their website, SHAWN, for up to, for 15% off of your entire purchase. Look at that. OFP Farms is a family-owned and American company creating farm-crafted skincare with quality ingredients that your skin actually understands. From rich goat milk lotions and grass-fed tallow magnesium creams to soothing body soap and delicious lip balms, every product is thoughtfully made in small batches with care. These are simple, hardworking formulas created to help nourish dry skin, support tired muscles, and bring a little more comfort to your everyday routine. When you shop OFP Farms, you're supporting a real family, a true patriotic small American business, and products made with purpose. Visit OFPfarms.com and use the code Sean, SHAWN, to get 15% off your entire purchase for the month of August. That's OFPfarms.com, promo code Sean, OFPfarms.com, promo code SHAWN for, again, 15% off for the entire month of August. OFPfarms.com, promo code SHAWN. Check them out, OFPfarms.com. All right, there you go. I am not a big fan of Journey, of the band, but I know everyone likes that song. Don't Stop Believing.
You know what? You guys can't take him seriously because he likes freaking Stick Figure.
Stick Figure's great. Just
no, is what Stick Figure sounds like.
Just ask Speak's wife. She loves Stick Figure too. You're saying Mrs.
You and
Speak
Heather
Farms?
can go in a corner somewhere.
No. There's no corner.
And listen.
There's no corner.
To
There's no. Yesterday was yesterday. I haven't listened to Stick Figure in a while. By the way. I also like Kenny Chesney. I also like Kenny Chesney.
You guys cannot take his word for music taste.
Listen,
Journey is fantastic.
Hold on. At least Stick Figure doesn't try to rhyme
Wisconsin.
the word mansion
Yes, I know.
with Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin.
The race in Wisconsin last night was off the charts.
I'll tell you, rap is stupid, but it's fun to sing. But you like Stick Figure.
What? This is what happens when I hear Wisconsin.
You don't ever have to listen to it. I don't play it out loud like you freaking.
I play my Earpod. Stick Figure's great, by the way.
No.
For those of you who are reggae fans in the chat, listen to Stick Figure. You're welcome. Okay, you're welcome. Next up is a word from our friends at Armra Colostrum. It is TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Now, look, you guys know I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity and gut health, improve my fitness and metabolism, and enhance my skin and hair radiance. That is what Armra Colostrum can do for you, and then some. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, contains all the essential nutrients our bodies need in order to thrive. Armra Colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum. They may get them from the ladies on The View. Who knows? That harnesses over 400 living bioactive nutrients that strengthen the barriers of your body and fuel cellular health for thousands of research-backed health benefits, like reactivating your hair growth and helping your skin glow again. It helps fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism, and it can help fuel your fitness, performance, and recovery. Check it out at tryarmra.com/LFA TV. That is TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Or enter the code LFA TV at the website to get up to 30% off of your entire purchase. Tryarmra.com/LFA TV, TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Okay? Annette Smith says it's Wisconsin. Say it right. Yeah. It's not Wisconsin.
Stick Figure was there.
Well, Stick Figure's great though.
He doesn't open his mouth.
He opens his mouth.
No.
He's a mouth opener.
A fly needs to fly, or I can't stand it. I've heard it too many times. Just like Freebird. You have played Freebird 500 times too many. And I can't stand the song anymore.
Do you hear this?
I can't stand it.
Freebird? It's America's unofficial national anthem. You don't like the song? Who are you, Colin Kaepernick now? You're going to start taking it? Are you going to take a knee when I start playing Freebird? I'm protesting!
I'm going to just launch myself from the passenger seat and do a roll down the highway next time. I can't stand it.
Now, you know what we're going to do now?
What?
Now we're going to listen to the live version.
I will see you after it's over.
13 minutes of Freebird.
No,
yes.
That is absurd.
No
song needs to be longer than 3 minutes.
Oh, my goodness. Spoken like a true Gen Z.
No, I'm a millennial.
I know, but you're in a Gen Z mindset where it's got to be 3 minutes.
No, it's just that song. I don't like that song.
You hear this? Look, Jackie.
I like some extended version.
Look at this. The chat's going to turn on you now.
That's fine. Turn on
the
me all
chat
you
is
want.
turning. She's going to start banning people.
I can pew every one of yous. So just keep it up. Jackie, if you have heard it as many times as I've found it here,
Jackie may have. Listen,
you would be tired of it too.
It's Freebird. It's the best song. I'm as free as a bird now. It's great. All right, here we go. Let's get into Wisconsin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the establishment and the DSA types are at war with each other. The establishment and DSA types are at war with each other. Oh, I see we have our favorite complainer in the chat. Oh, the administration is messing around in Iran. All right, then you give Iran a nuclear weapon. You let me know how that's going to work out for you. Rocket scientist. You know, I don't love how long it's been taking in Iran. I told you that I would have glassed them months ago. I wanted the gas thing figured out by Memorial Day weekend, but they can't have a nuke, and they want one. And if they get one, they're going to launch it at us. And if they don't launch it at us, they're going to hold the rest of the world hostage. And you think gas is expensive now? Use your freaking head. Now, I agree. The tail-chasing exercise that we're in, I've been vocal about this. The tail-chasing exercise that we've been engaged in Iran is a disaster, right? You know me, 3 months ago, I said, we got to get it wrapped up. Trust Trump, it takes time. I get it. But the alternative is Iran getting a nuclear weapon. You know, these are jihadists. If they have their hands on one of the most powerful weapons in the world, what do you think they're going to do? Polish it? You think they're going to take it for a walk in their neighborhood? Oh, here's my nuclear weapon. I'm going to take it for what? They're going to use it. They're going to use it. These are people who take pickup trucks and run people over in parades. You think they're not going to use a nuclear weapon? What are you, stupid? Stupid is a choice. Remember that. Don't choose to be stupid. Don't choose to be ignorant. And don't choose to be a negative Nancy Debbie Downer about the administration. They're doing everything they can. It's been 47 years. Someone should have done it before. They didn't. All right? That's it. The time is now. 60% enriched uranium takes a couple weeks to enrich it to weapons grade. You put a nuclear weapon in the hands of the Iranians, you got a lot of trouble on your hand. Don't choose to be stupid. As Bad Moon is pointing out in the chat, you thought closing the Strait of Hormuz was a big deal? Which is something that I've been saying since, oh yeah, by the way, May. You think they got leverage with the Straits of Hormuz? And while we're at it, the gays of Hormuz? And the buys of Hormuz. And you can't forget the trans of Hormuz. Now, you think them closing the Strait of Hormuz made gas prices go up? The only leverage they have in the Strait of Hormuz right now is that they can attack with drones and all this other crap. You put a nuke in their hands, you can forget it. The whole world now has to do what Iran wants because everyone knows you can't assume that the terrorists are bluffing because generally they don't bluff. When they say they're going to cut your heads off, they do it. So while I agree, I would rather not be at war with Iran. And while I agree, I would rather have this thing sorted out and cleaned up by May, Memorial Day, because, you know, the impact it has on travel season and the 2 weeks reminds me a hell of a lot like, you know, Anthony Fauci with the 2 weeks, 2 week ceasefire, deal, no deal, maybe deal, maybe we're getting closer, we're calling off the attacks. I'd rather just glass the whole freaking country at this point and call it a day. But Donald Trump doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to kill innocents, which I get and I commend. But there is no other choice. Are you going to ignore the terrorists trying to create a nuclear weapon? Can't do that. What happens when you ignore problems? Does it fix them? No. I have a leaky roof. I'm going to ignore it really hard. Maybe it'll go away. No, it's just going to get worse, and you're going to have a mold problem. Yeah, my house is on fire. Now, if I ignore that problem, the fire will stop burning. Or it won't. There you go. The establishment, I got sidetracked there, because there's one thing I don't like. It's the demoralization. You're not going to demoralize people in this show. Oh, the administration's a failure. Okay, cool. Let's go back in time and vote for Kamala Harris. Go ahead. Do it. Think it's so bad now? Go vote for Democrat. Actually, don't. Don't vote for Democrat. I don't encourage people to vote Democrat. Maybe just reflect on what we went through the last, from 2021 to 2025. You think it's bad now? Borders closed. Inflation's still an issue, but it's not 9% like it was under Biden. Lowest murder rate in the history of the United States. The history of the United States. We've deported almost between involuntary and voluntary deportations, nearly 4 million people. But yeah. You're right. Life sucks. Can't take it. As Jeremy says in the chat, the worst Republican is better than the best Democrat. Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, here's the bottom line of where we should be attacking, right? Because how many times did we hear it over the last year? 2025 was full of this talking point that was fed into the right-wing circles, podcast circles, and things of that nature. Oh, there's too much Republican infighting. There's a war on the Republican side. And there was a battle, right? And the folks on the woke right, the demoralizers, the complainers, the popcorn from the cheap seaters, the doomers, the gloomers, the black pillars, the negative Nancys and Debbie Downers, all those folks, they either were successfully duped into falling for the psyop, or they willingly participated in advancing the psyop because they either thought it was the truth and they were doing the right thing. In other words, they were doing it righteously. They're basically useful idiots, or they were being paid, right? There was some sort of financial incentive or, engagement incentive on social media. Oh, if I post about the Jews and I whine about the administration, I'll get 1 million likes. Yeah, well, who are those likes coming from? A lot of Pakistani bot farms and things of that nature, right? Foreign influence, all that. Okay. But for the last year, all we heard about was infighting. There's a Republican civil war. Republicans never stick together. How come we can't just unite around these comments? Because there's going to be debate. That's what happens in a healthy society. People propose ideas. The ideas get debated. Unfortunately, we have the internet, so people get nasty about it, but it at least advances the debate. On the Democrat side, there is literally a civil war right now between the Democratic Socialist wing of the party and the establishment wing of the party. And if you look at New York, you wouldn't have thought there was much of a war, right? Because Mamdani won easy. If you look at, Seattle with Katie Wilson, you wouldn't think there was that much of a war because she won easy. But if you look at the swing states, which are very important when it comes to general elections, but they'll be equally as important when it comes to some of these, presidential elections with Senate and governor, things of that nature. When you look at these swing states, there is a pretty even split among the Democrat voter base, the Democrat electorate, the Democrat participants. Look at Michigan. Abdul El-Sayed was leading in polls by double digits. He didn't win by double digits. He won by barely over a point. Look at Wisconsin. Francesca Hong was a near lock on prediction sites and in polling to win that gubernatorial primary, and she lost. But she lost by a razor-thin margin. There is a civil war on the Democrat side of things, and that is the angle that I'm going to be hitting. They have a soft point. They have a weak spot. They have an exposed point. They have an exploitable weakness here. There is a massive divide, and it is only growing right now on the left. Hassan Piker, he melted down over this. Oh my gosh. No, the knives are out for the establishment. Good. Sharpen them. Sharpen the knives. Take to the streets with your Molotov cocktails and your Antifa types. Go to the DNC headquarters. Tell everybody how disturbed you are that the candidates of your choice aren't winning or things are closer than most polling suggests. Hassan Piker was going nuts about the mainstream media. Oh, the media's lying to you. The polling sucks. I mean, he sounded like a Republican in that aspect where he was calling out the media. This is great because the media has done nothing but cover for his best friends like Abdul El-Sayed, right? The media has done nothing but cover for the Democratic Socialists. Oh, it's a big tent. Democrats are welcoming the big tent. There is a huge divide in that tent right now. And if there's one thing we know about the DSA types, they will stay home if their candidates aren't on the ballot. And so you have a huge divide that you've seen now in Michigan and in Wisconsin. In Michigan, the DSA type, Abdul El-Sayed, won. But in Wisconsin, David Crowley won, and the DSA endorsed member, whatever, Francesca Hong, lost. And if you don't think there's a bunch of salty, pissed off, arms folded, temper tantrum throwing, slow on intake, Antifa type, purple hair liberals on the left right now, seething, foaming at the mouth, rabid. I can't believe Francesca lost. These are the people who want to cancel Thanksgiving, right? All that. There is a major divide. The establishment struck back. And they didn't just strike back in Wisconsin. Where else did the establishment strike? Where else did the establishment strike? Remember Maine? Yeah, but Sean, Troy Jackson is a DSA type and he's in Maine. That doesn't matter. They took out the darling. They took out the guy who built a very strong coalition going into that primary. 70+% of the vote or something of that matter. Right? Was that Graham Plattner with his Nazi tattoo? That was their guy. They loved him. He built the coalition in Maine. He built a winning coalition in Maine in that primary. They loved Graham Plattner. Well, the DSA types loved Graham Plattner, not the socialists. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you get it? The establishment is fighting back. The Chuck Schumers of the world know that these socialists are a threat, that they essentially have the quote-unquote moderate or establishment Democrats being held at knife point right now, and the establishment is in their last gasp phase. One way or the other, that party is going to become a purely socialist party. My question looking at Wisconsin, and we'll talk to Chase Bowes about this tomorrow because he's going to join us tomorrow because the Michigan and Wisconsin races were extremely consequential. Are the Democratic Socialists of America and their voters going to stay home in November in places like Wisconsin? And on the flip side, in Michigan, are establishment Democrats going to get behind Republican Mike Rogers, who's he's a moderate Republican. He's not some strong, staunch conservative. Yes, Donald Trump endorsed him, but Donald Trump is going to endorse the Republican nominee in Michigan because we want to flip the seat. I'm not saying that Mike Rogers is some ultra MAGA candidate, but he is a Republican, and these are vote blue no matter who people who are now coming out and saying vote blue no matter who, except for Abdul. We'll get to that in a second. Before we do that, I would like to get to a word from our friends at Silent. It is slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/SHAWN. Folks, let's face it, your phone is a tracking device between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint, and they don't ask. They just go on and take it. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. You know what no signal means? It means no tracking, no remote access, and no breadcrumbs. It is the same technology that's trusted by special operations teams around the world, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now, it is available to you so you can protect your family, you can protect your freedom, and you can secure your digital footprint. All you got to do is drop your phone in a Silent Faraday sleeve, and it's off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbodies, Silent's patented technology gives you total control of your privacy. Just visit slnt.com/Sean. That's slnt.com/SHAWN and get 15% off and free shipping on qualifying orders. That is slnt.com/Sean. Protect your rights, secure your data, stay one step ahead by going to Silent. Silence the chaos. Silent.com, slnt.com/SHAWN. All right. Let's get into a couple things. To start with Michigan real fast. This is Abdul El-Sayed. He deleted several YouTube videos. Now, why would he do that? He's positioning himself to be some sort of moderate, right? He said in a deleted YouTube video that fireworks suck. Not everyone's a fan of fireworks, but he doesn't like it because it celebrates America. It's not any other reason. He also called for the Second Amendment to be replaced. Before launching his campaign, Abdul El-Sayed removed 100+ YouTube videos from 2022 to 2024. Transcripts show him floating, replacing the Second Amendment, urging an end to July 4th fireworks, and blasting the Republican focus on the border. That's Abdul El-Sayed. That's Abdul El-Sayed. Okay? Here's another one. Sharia law. We don't like Sharia law, right? We don't like it at all. Abdul El-Sayed made a really disturbing comment to the New York Times regarding Sharia law. This one ought to be nice. Is this what you want in Michigan? I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a hardcore left-leaning liberal. If you don't want a guy who believes in Sharia law, you can't vote for Abdul El-Sayed. You have to, at the very least, withhold your vote at the top of the ticket there in terms of Senate. You're going to vote Democrat elsewhere, whatever. I don't agree with it, but you cannot vote for Abdul El-Sayed if you don't want to deal with Sharia law. This guy believes in it. This is his whole, his entire purpose, according to this quote in the New York Times. Here's an old quote made by Abdul El-Sayed to the New York Times back in 2009, resurfaced, and in it, he pledged his lifelong obligation to Sharia law. Washington Free Beacon said the following. This is the quote. Ultimately, the question is, when I die and I stand before God and go through everything I did in my life, I don't want to say I did it the easy way instead of the Sharia compliant way. Not because of fear, but because of obligation, said El-Sayed, who the New York Times identified at the time as a 24-year-old medical student and Rhodes Scholar who had just taken out a Sharia-compliant mortgage to purchase a $123,000 condominium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You guys know Sharia law, all the strict regulations, the non-Muslim tax. I mean, these are all things. This is all in their book. You could read it. He thinks he has an obligation to live that way. He's running to be the next senator out of Michigan. You can't have that. You can't. Cannot happen. Abdul El-Sayed. No good. Well, some Democrats are catching on. Some Democrats are catching on. I see a comment, Denise 9904. I'm very concerned that he will win in November just like the mayor in New York did. Please wake up, Michigan, and don't vote for this POS. Agreed. The difference between Michigan and New York City, number one, New York City it wasn't the whole state, so that's important, right? It was 5 boroughs, overwhelmingly Democrat. That's why when the first, socialist wave started happening, people say, it's just New York City. What do you expect out of New York City? But Denise, you're right to be concerned about Michigan. You're right to be concerned about Michigan. But you saw how many people came out and voted against him. Are those people going to also endorse Mike Rogers? Are enough of them going to endorse for Mike Rogers and vote for Mike Rogers? At the very least, are a lot of them going to withhold their vote from a guy like Abdul El-Sayed? We hope so. And that's why I want to play for you this video. This is Jill, Dr. Jill, fake doctor. Jill, Biden's former press secretary, saying he can't vote for Abdul El-Sayed because of how he feels about 9/11. Valid. Listen, if 9/11 is going to be the reason why you don't vote for Abdul El-Sayed, good. Good. I'm going to roll this one here. This is significant. Again, Jill Biden's former press secretary endorsing Mike Rogers for Senate, the Republican in Michigan.
Transcend party loyalty. And I'm just surprised that there's not more people who won't stand up to this guy or this kind of candidate. I was 78 miles in high school in class 25 years ago on September 11th. And I signed a petition for change.org saying Mamdani should stay out of New York City on 9/11. I think this guy, El-Sayed, should fly to New York City and look every family member of somebody who jumped out of a window because the alternative was worse. I think he should look them in the eye and tell them that there's no justification for what happened, for showing up at their office or boarding an airplane that day. They didn't do anything wrong. I think he should do that. I think he should take this seriously. And I'd like him to wipe the grin off his face when he's talking about it, too.
El-Sayed. Wipe the grin off his face. He's not going to wipe the grin off his face when he's talking about 9/11 because he liked 9/11. But we need more Democrats. We need more Democrats to do what he is doing. Don't be afraid. It is okay if you are an establishment Democrat, a moderate Democrat, a liberal, non-socialist Democrat. It is okay to say that you believe what Abdul El-Sayed stands for is unacceptable, whether it's because of 9/11 or the Second Amendment or the 4th of July or Sharia law or Medicare for all, whatever it might be. It's okay to talk about it. It is okay to say, and specifically, Mr. LaRosa there, Michael LaRosa, specifically, he's talking about the 9/11 comment, which got a lot of people upset. Again, which is fine by me. Be upset. But do something about it. Don't just be upset and then go vote for him. If you believe the things that he's saying are unacceptable, then they're unacceptable. Then you can't then therefore accept it and vote for him. It is all right to criticize. Not Islamophobic. It is all right. It is. Maybe it is Islam. Maybe you are afraid of Islam. Fine.
That's a valid thing to be afraid of.
I would not. I'm not going to necessarily say that we should be cozying up to people who say they want to cut our heads off. So, hey, you know what? You want people to call you an Islamophobe? That's fine. I don't want the label. It's okay. Explain why you're phobic, quote unquote. And I think phobia is supposed to be like an irrational fear.
Yeah, it's not an irrational fear. It's a valid fear.
Not an irrational fear. We need more Democrats to come out and do what Michael LaRosa just did. And I mean Democrats are the platform. Julian Epstein, we played that the other day. Now we have Michael LaRosa. Who's next? Who is next? If you don't want your party to be taken over, well, it already has been taken over, but if you don't want to vote for members of a party that have been taken over by Islamo-Marxists, socialists, and communists, then don't vote for them. There is a divide. There are a lot of folks on the Democrat side that can send a very big lesson to the DSA type. Say, hey, you don't actually have the support you think you have. You got a lot of young people fooled by your BS, but you don't have the support that you think you have. Stay home. And then you can point at the DSA and you can say, look, under their leadership, under their direction, we lost. We lost ground in a midterm year that we should have won seats in. We lost ground in a favorable political climate where we should have won. You could do it. Stay home, save lives, whatever it is you got to believe in. Okay? All right. Let's take a quick break. I got to talk to you about our friends at CovePure, CovePure.com/SHAWN. CovePure, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about fluoride in your water. Fluoride, you don't want that stuff. Fluoride in your water is bad for you. The government has been medicating your water with it for over 80 years. Not because you asked for it, not because you voted for it, but because they decided you needed it. Well, that's not a decision that I want someone else making for me. That's why we purify every drop of water in our house with CovePure. Over 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now, and here's what the science actually shows. In November of 24, a federal judge ruled that adding fluoride to water poses, and I'm quoting the court directly, an unreasonable risk to neurological health. Not a fringe study. It's a federal court ordering the EPA to act. Then in January of 25, a study published by JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, confirmed a link between fluoride exposure and children's IQ scores. The higher the fluoride, the lower the IQ. Now, there are some states that are banning fluoride, like Utah and Florida, but that process takes years to implement. Your kids, your family, they're drinking this fluoridated water today. You need something that works now. And that is exactly what CovePure is. Its Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants like fluoride, PFAs, lead, pharmaceuticals, and heavy metals. Anything that isn't water gets filtered right out. Folks, take a look at the CP16 at covepure.com/Sean. I love the fact that you can plug this thing in, install the filters, no drilling, no plumbing, nothing of that sort. Don't wait for the government to catch up. Go get yourself a CovePure today. Use the link, covepure.com/Sean, covepure.com/SHAWN, covepure.com/SHAWN for $250 off the CP16. That is CovePure. CovePure.com/SHAWN, CovePure.com/SHAWN. Speak says they must mainline fluoride in the Middle East. That would explain a few things. I don't know. Does having a prolonged exposure to fluoride increase your need to be intimate with goats?
Yeah, because it turns the frogs gay.
Turn the frickin' frogs gay! I'm not looking for a fight, but if you want one, you came to the right place. Quiet. The only thing he's fighting is
Quiet
a pizza.
piggy.
Yeah, Alex Jones. The only thing he's fighting is a pizza. All right. Let's go next. Let's go to the next one here. Okay. Yesterday we played this woman, Frances Gill. So I'm going to play for you again one clip from her, and then I'm going to play for you another one, which is hilarious. They're actually telling on themselves. Okay? This was Frances Gill yesterday talking about how we need to defund the police and replace the police with streetlights as if that's going to lower crime. Watch.
Policy agenda on law enforcement is to defund police, ultimately to get rid of police departments, correct?
Well, what I would say is that we're dramatically overspending on police right now.
I understand, but the goal is to defund the police departments so we don't need them in the future.
I think what we really want to see is a horizon where folks are not reliant on armed enforcement to meet our public safety needs.
Right, but it says defund police on the website. That's your goal. And also to get rid of prisons and jails, correct?
Yes.
So if my daughter is assaulted and raped, is there any agency that would seek to find her assailant and bring him to justice?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
What
Absolutely.
would it be if not police, and where would he be if not a jail?
So I guess I really want to avoid getting kind of caught into these hypotheticals and talk more about the
Yeah, of course you want to avoid getting caught in the hypotheticals, right? So he asks a good question. Hey, if my daughter's assaulted or raped, who's handling it if it's not police? And where's the criminal going if it's not a jail? And she's like, well, we don't need to talk about that. No, you do. You absolutely need to talk about that because people need to know. Now, don't worry about it. The streetlights are going to handle it. You know, like well-lit streets. What is a streetlight going to arrest somebody? What are you gonna take the criminal and chain him to a lamppost outside, saying he can't go anywhere? I mean, actually, I'd be okay with that. Because he can't really do much. Put him in the stockades. Yeah. Okay. It is mind blowing.
See, this is where natural selection used to take its
Yeah.
course. You know, now these people are allowed to stay alive, but these people used to would have just died because they're stupid.
They can't survive in the real world.
No, they can't survive. But now the left has them protected.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna be killed by a Muslim one day, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
And
she's gonna be like, wait, what do you mean you don't want to you're gonna cut my head off? I hate the Jews too. They'll be like, are you a Muslim? No, gone.
Wait, I knew you in high school.
Dottie Gooden says, Mom always said, stupid is as stupid does. True. Well, here she is again. Talking about how the scales are tipped in the favor of the rich in this country. Okay. Let's hear her out. Frances Gill talking about how it's unfair, that the scales are tipped in the favor of the rich. The scales are, Frances Gill, DSA, replace the police with streetlights. This lady says the scales of society are tipped in favor of the rich. Watch this. And then I'll show you how she's actually telling on herself. Here you go.
Abdul El-Sayed's victory in the Democratic primary in the Senate in Michigan. Of the 15 counties where a majority do not have a college degree, he lost every one of them, over 15. In the counties with high education, like you, he won. So how can you say you're for the working class when working class counties in Detroit and elsewhere voted against your candidate?
I think what we're seeing is that people who are highly educated in this country were promised this path of economic success. If you go to college, if you get the degree, if you go down that path, you're going to be guaranteed economic success. But really what we're seeing is that there's this huge downward mobility problem where people are putting in the money, taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans. I have $500,000 in student loan debt personally. And not seeing that translate into actual economic success because our society, the scales are so tipped in one direction to benefit the rich and the wealthy.
The scales are tipped to benefit the rich and the wealthy. By the way, you hear what she said? She has $500,000 in student loans. I don't understand why this isn't resulting in economic success. So maybe because you studied a bunch of garbage that doesn't apply to anything in the real world. If I'm a sales guy and I'm looking to hire a new salesperson, and the person in front of me when I'm interviewing them says to me, I got my degree in gender studies. See ya. Have you sold anything in your life? Because wait, how many genders are there? 5. Sell that idea to me right now, and if you can't, you don't get hired. That is what I would do. I'm running a sales team. Oh, you had gender studies? How many genders are there? There's 6. All right, cool. This is the ultimate test. If you could get me to believe that there are 6 genders right now, you will be hired as not just a salesperson on my team, but the top paid salesperson on my team. Sell me, convince me that there's 6 genders. Put that gender studies degree to work, and you'll have a job here. But she says the scales are tipped in favor of the rich. The rich. These are folks with a lot of money, right? A lot of wealth, a lot of resources, correct? If somebody who is living paycheck to paycheck, doesn't have a lot of money, doesn't have great credit, doesn't have a lot of disposable income, someone like that runs into a problem, let's say, I don't know, taxes. Maybe they want to address their property taxes. Maybe they need legal representation for something and they can't afford it, right? That's a problem. If a middle-class individual can't afford a lawyer. But who can afford these lawyers? They're wealthy, right? They can afford extremely talented lawyers. We've seen, criminals, folks with a lot of money in these corruption cases, they get a big-time lawyer, they get a better deal because they hired a lawyer who knows a person who could, convince a judge or convince the prosecutors to take it easy, right? You get into a problem, drugs, drunk driving, taxes, whatever. You hire a really good lawyer, for this to fix your problems for you, but you got to have the money to pay that lawyer. Is that what she means by the scales are tipped in favor of the rich? Because I find this to be very interesting. Zohran Mamdani levied this pied-à-terre tax in New York City. Second homes, you got to pay an additional tax. And a bunch of wealthy New York City residents are like, well, first of all, you just doxed me. You put me on this list. Second of all, this doesn't seem fair. So what did the wealthy New York City residents do? They did what anybody with money will do. And they filed a lawsuit. And a judge just blocked the tax the rich tax in New York City. So while Francis Gill says the scales are tipped in favor of the rich, that's not fair. She's right. But in this case, it's the rich New York City liberals that voted for Zohran Mamdani that are now blocking the tax that he ran on, right? The whole I'm going to tax the rich thing. So yeah, the scales are tipped in favor of the rich, but it's your own rich people on the left that are using these scales being tipped, right? I.e. the ability to afford a lawyer to block themselves from being taxed. Don't you see how stupid she is? The very people who she wants to tax are the people who voted for Mamdani and then blocked the tax. Don't you understand? You actually have to punish your own rich people who bankroll all these socialist campaigns like Mamdani, Katie Wilson, Abdul. Who else did that? It's the guys like Soros. People pouring money into campaigns like Daria Lisa Vila Chevalier, Milad Kiros in Colorado. The scales are tipped in favor of the rich. Yeah, maybe you're right. But look in Zohran Mamdani's own New York City. You have rich New York City liberals who supported Mamdani, despite the fact that he said he was going to tax the rich, who are now suing Mamdani and blocking his tax the rich pied-à-terre tax. So yeah, the scales are tipped in favor of the rich. If you want to say that and run with that as a talking point, that's fine. But you have to look at your own people first. I couldn't join up with a bunch of homeowners here and sue Rutherford County, because of our property taxes, we don't have the money for that. But if I was a rich liberal, I'd have the money for that. Like these rich New York City liberals are doing to Zohran Mamdani right now. The Democrat divide is real. Cannibalism is on the menu, right? They are eating their own. They are in a very weakened state right now. Everything, every accusation they levy at us is a confession. They're the ones dealing with infighting. And there's debates on our side too. I'm not telling you everything's hunky-dory. But they're the ones dealing with infighting. They're the ones dealing with the huge divide policy-wise and identity-wise in their party. They're the ones dealing with these problems right now. Look at Michigan. Look at Wisconsin. Look at Maine. Look at the divide between the DSA wing and the establishment Democrat wing. And it is not getting any better. The divide continues to grow. And it is our job to drive the wedge and split those two from each other right before the midterms. We're 2.5 months away from the midterms. It's our job to keep driving that wedge. All right. Jeremy Harrell is up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV. He's got a good show for you planned. Chase Bowes will be joining us tomorrow, but we will be live tomorrow. The interview is going to be pre-recorded, but we will be live. So if there's any breaking news, we can shift things around. We will be live tomorrow, but Chase Bowes will be joining us, talking about these recent elections, new midterm predictions, what the Republicans need to do. He's got a lot on that subject, so we will have him tomorrow. As President Trump says, we will never give up, we will never give in, and we will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, rumble.com/LFA TV. Jeremy Harrell up next. Thank you for your attention to this matter.